Welcome to Intentionally FinTech, the show where we deep dive behind the purpose of your favorite and emerging fintech brands. I'm your host for today, Michael Phillips, the CEO and founder of a purpose-driven branding agency called Beholz. After 7 years in the creative industry and after an unfortunate wake-up call in late January, I've been forced to find purpose. And I did. It is to help founders like my guests over here to find and do what inspires them most. On this show, we're going to deep dive behind the mission and purpose of your favorite emerging fintech brands, the values that drive their day-to-day work, and just how exactly clarity of purpose affects trust in an otherwise cluttered environment. So let's dive in. My guest for today is Pedro Birmann. He is the CEO and founder of Quadra, which is a trading platform made by traders for traders. Did I get that right, Pedro?
You did. That's absolutely right. And thank you very much for having me here today.
It's my pleasure, actually. So let us break the ice a little bit with the audience. For people who don't know your company yet, do you mind telling us what you build in just a couple of words, a couple of sentences?
Absolutely. I think that before I can talk exactly about what my company does and what we've built is just to give you guys a little bit of background about my own journey. I was an investment banker. I worked in traditional finance for most of my adult life. I was located here in London as well as in the United States for 7 years. And at some point, I fell in love with the crypto innovation and everything that was happening in the digital asset industry, starting with Bitcoin, obviously. Being a trader, the obvious thing for me to do was to be involved in the trading side of digital assets. So I thought that I would create a quantitative investment firm. I wasn't trying to create a fintech or anything like this. I was trying to get into the trading side of crypto. And it was then that I realized that there was a gap in the market. We were looking for infrastructure. We were looking for software providers. And we realized that none of the existing firms had a cohesive product vision for a platform that unified all of the essential tools needed for institutional investors entering the space. So we never thought about creating a Quadra trade or the company that we have today. We were actually trying to solve the problem for which we hadn't found a solution in the marketplace. So we decided to build our in-house software for the fund. It was only after we had made massive strides in what we were building and we were consolidating the vision of what we were building that we realized that potentially we had something of value. And that's when we decided to bring this product, this vision to the market. So Quadra, what does Quadra do? Quadra offers essentially all of the essential pillars that are needed in terms of software infrastructure for any institutional client entering the space. So if you are a hedge fund, a family office, an investment bank, a prime broker, a custodian that wants to service your clients in the digital asset space, you are generally faced with two options. You can build your own in-house software, or you can buy already made software. What we have that is slightly different from any other person or firm out there is this very strong product vision of what we want to create. So I used to believe a lot about that we should start with the user experience and then move to the development and the technology side of things. And I think that this is exactly what we do at Quadra. So we have something that tends to be very intuitive, great in terms of user experience, and very functional. And so when people use my products, they don't necessarily need to use other vendors or patch different softwares and none of that, right? So we want to be a unified solution that is very complete and does everything that this guy can possibly need.
Right. I love the idea of a holistic approach. This is something we also do at my agency. Everything connected to branding you get from us. That even includes legal consultation. So that's actually quite nice. But moving on with our questions, we talked about the company, the product, the what you do. But I want to shift the spotlight onto you, Pedro, the founder and the image, if I may. What made you want to build this beyond that gap in the market that you mentioned? Something personal, maybe. Was it something that you felt you have to serve, maybe like a mission? Or was there a personal frustration that led to you opening up this way, besides your love for for the trading quants and everything?
It's great that you ask. And you mentioned, I think that basically the two important things, right? A sense of mission and frustration. Look, I've had a relatively successful career, right? I've held very good jobs. I've earned relatively well, but I was never happy. I was always frustrated. Working in the environments where I was working, surprisingly, it wasn't a place where positive disruption was rewarded. People didn't want necessarily to change things much, right? When you are working for a trading firm, an investment bank, not necessarily all trading firms, but if you're working for a large investment bank, there is a very common thing that the senior management or senior traders, people like me, they always look at incremental changes because they don't want to change anything. They want to keep on earning their high salaries, making their bonuses, but they don't want to revolutionize anything. They don't want to disrupt anything. So it was very common to hear things like, oh, let's not rock the boat. And that didn't sit really well with me because it wasn't part of my nature. I wanted to change things. I wanted to improve things. So I would be always very vocal about my opinions, right? If the head of the trading floor came to me and said something that I disagreed with, I thought that the obvious natural thing to do was to voice that disagreement, because that's how you get good ideas. That's how you move forward. But that wasn't the norm. And then I realized that that wasn't exactly appreciated in that corporate environment that I was working on. And I realized that very early on in my career that I was never going to find a place where I fit within that kind of environment. So I've always had in the back of my mind at some point I wanted to do something of my own. I wanted to go out there and try to create something. And I've always felt I had something to give and assist with younger people working around me. So there was always this element where I felt that there was, the interns would gravitate around me. I was a great mentor. I was always talking, but not for that job necessarily, because what they wanted wasn't people that would be disruptors. It was people that would be conformists, that they would stay within that framework and they would play the game. How many times I heard about that, right? You need to play the game. And so I don't want to play the game. I want to change the game. I want to make something different, right? So
Right.
for me, that was always incredibly frustrating. So I had everything that a lot of people would envy, right? I had a high-paying job. I had a job that was pretty cool, to be a trader for an investment bank. But I've never felt accomplished. I've always felt frustrated, right? So now I have a whole new set of different frustrations. But one thing's for sure, there is not even a single night that I will lose my sleep because I am frustrated about my day-to-day job. That doesn't happen anymore. I may lose my sleep for other reasons,
Yeah, that was about to say that.
but there is absolutely no turning back for me. I would never, ever, ever, ever be able to go back into a position like I used to have.
That is a classic founder talk, but not any founder talk, the inspirational type of founder. And I really sense that with you right here, that you have a strong feeling for your why and you're doing everything is purpose driven. And I really like that about you. And let us scratch the surface even more, shall we, together? Okay. So, there's always this balance in between mission and market, right? You said you found a gap in the market. You say you're purpose driven. If I were to put it on a balance in front of you right now, in which direction will the balance tilt? Which one's more significant for you?
So I think that if you take a step back, right, what do I think that would make us a successful startup or a successful company? For me, success is going to be when my clients don't need to worry about operational risk. When my clients know that they have a partner, right? Not a vendor, right? They have a partner, someone that has built something that transforms their operations, someone that has built something so that they can focus on the things that add value to their operations, right? So for me, this is my purpose, right? I want to add value, create value for these guys. If I can achieve that, I'm going to feel that I'm very successful. And obviously, at the same time, I am actually bridging that gap in the market. I'm creating a solution that solves a problem. But most importantly, It's not only simply about solving the problem today, it's about being perceived as a partner to all of these counterparties that are interacting with us. And this is, for me, is the most important thing. We are, let's be honest, we are in the software business and in the trading business. So it's not uncommon that we get approached by a potential client or partner, should I say, and then we do have a solution. We do have a product that we show them how we imagined that this product would solve their problems. And every now and then, there will be additional requirements. And this is all part of the process. I want these people to understand that when they are relating this feedback to us, we are not just another software company. We take that personally, right? There is a problem. And if there is a problem that we haven't thought how we would solve before, that is particularly interesting for me because it shows that my understanding of this space wasn't complete, and it's never going to be complete. So it gives me that sense of pursuing something else and completing that missing gap and adding another building block to our toolkit. So this is the kind of stuff that I value a lot. This is the kind of stuff that I want to continue doing, and I try to make sure that my team has the same culture and they believe in the same things that I do believe.
May I be honest with you?
Please.
I admire you a lot. I'll tell you honestly, I feel a little bit inspired by what you, and that's a good sign. And I really wanted to get into the theoretical part of our chat today, if that's okay. Are you familiar with the
That's cool.
golden circle rule?
No.
Okay. I will do this for the purpose of the podcast. This time, for my loyal viewers, I came prepared with an illustration. I normally don't
Oh,
do
look at
that.
that.
So let me explain the first part of our conversation, of our illustration. This is, by the way, made for a previous guest, and we're interested in the diagrams. So at first, you can see we have this three concentric circles. At first, and you can see it's even highlighted, it's the why. Then we move into the how and into the what. The why is the very deep emotional connection that we have. It's the thing which drives us, the thing which every single thing I do is a witness of. And let me tell you about myself. So then you can think about it and we can work around this together. By the end of today's episode, I want to be able to create a page just like this for you and gift it to you. You can put it on the wall and say, I've been at Michael's podcast.
Awesome.
Perfect. So the why is the very emotional thing. And when it comes to me, that is after my clinical death. Is that the way you say it in English? I think so.
I think you can say that, yes.
Yeah. I was legally dead for 2 minutes. And then I realized I had no purpose in life. I was doing busy with other things like you were. You were in the investment banking. I was in three boards. People will think, oh, you're in three boards, man. You have shares. You're successful. You get salaries. You get dividends. No, because the thing is, the phone, which now doesn't work, was constantly buzzing. And even when I was like dead, the phone was buzzing. And it was horrible. And that's what made me ask, what am I doing with my life? So then how? And this how is, how are you different than others? For me, I had this exploratory thing. I had this revelation that I have no purpose. I need to find it. And then it came to me, there's other people who maybe are in the same situation. So then I should help them so they don't have to die the way I do. That's my why. How am I different? Because I have experience in the creative industry, right? And I've created this new method of branding based on these diagrams you see here, which allows people to expose their why and transpose it into visual communication, everything, to make sure everything is aligned. And what? Finally, I offer holistic branding services. Basically, I'm your company's sort of mirror image in the branding sector. That's why I really feel there's a vibe and connection here, and I feel like we can dive a little deeper in today's episode. And then what you said, I lied to you. This is not circles. If we look at it here, this is actually a code where the founder's why is at the top. Then we have the management's how. And finally, employees what. Let me unpack. This is why. As a founder, you know generally why the company exists. It's your mission to communicate it clearly down the chain. Managements know how. They know how they should do something to bring the vision to life. And the employees define the what. They work on the actual product itself or service. So then by building this cone, we actually build a megaphone for the mission, starting from the founder all the way to the employees. And if the employees know it, then there's a continuation here, which I didn't have time, the space to draw. This is the market. So if the employees know why they do and how they do what they do, then the market gets the message and they get inspired and they become customers. Because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Always, that is true. Even in fintech, on a very inner level, And if we get to understand that, because it's not branding, actually, it's psychology. If we get to understand that level of complexity, we can get loyal customers. What's the difference between a repeat customer and a loyal customer? A repeat customer buys because it's convenient for him. A loyal customer buys because it's convenient in a way for you, because you believe the same thing and they associate yourself with them. So if you're good, they're good. It's still a selfish way, but it's a selfish alignment because we believe the same thing. And the best example is Apple. I'm an Apple fanboy. I have AirPods, as you can see. I have a MacBook, and that happens because I believe the same thing they believe. And no matter what scandal Apple is in, I'll still buy their product. So what we try to do with this methodology that I just showed is to get that type of customer for the business that apply this framework. Do I make sense?
I think you do, yes.
Okay, so let us dive into your why a little bit, shall we? Think about what I just told you, the emotional inner aspect of why you started the business. I have my own version of it for you, but I want you to say it first.
The emotional is always a little bit more complex, isn't it,
It is.
to express. But I think that it comes down to what I had said to you about the frustration I've had for 17 years throughout my career, right? That's that sensation that we could do things very differently with a lot more passion, with a lot more disruption in a positive way, and always being stopped from doing this, right? Because that's not the way that we operate here or there. So this frustration was something that was very difficult for me to deal with. So I've always had this sense of, what if I had an opportunity to do something my way? Is this going to work out? Am I going to be successful? Am I going to be able to inspire others? Am I going to be able to do these things with others? So this was probably one of the biggest whys. It wasn't even about what is the product, it was me trying to show to myself, to my friends, to my family, to the people around me, that I actually could do better than what was the status quo in my life. So this is probably the why, right? It's a sense that I have to prove it to myself that I can do this, right? And there is a little bit that you want to prove to others as well. There are other people in your life that you feel like, look, I knew I could do this, and this is it. We are doing this now, and this for me is important.
I understand. Okay, would you like to hear my version?
Please, please.
Okay, so usually when we look at the why statement, we don't look at how or what we do. Your why is not connected to finance at all. Or it is actually, because everything you do inspires finance. So the way I would put in words is, I believe, I'll talk in first person and you can internalize and tell me if it strikes a chord. Because if it strikes a chord and you feel like, yes, that means this is your why. I believe that finance shouldn't be done in concrete buildings and white collars, but rather through emotion, empathy, and collaboration. I believe in breaking the status quo and creating a finance industry where people work for people, not for numbers.
That's a fair point. And by the way, can I add something to what you said?
Of course, this is a
If you,
collaborative effort.
if you think about what is the crypto industry, decentralized blockchains, decentralized networks, it's all about this, right? It's reimagining how the financial pipelines are connected.
Right.
So it opens the doors for an infinite amount of different combinations or things that people can do together without being confined in the status quo.
Right.
So absolutely, I like what you said. I think that it has it hits the spot. Yes.
Wonderful. That's exactly what we try to do. That's why this is in a circle format. It's sort of like the bullseye, you know? It's like a dartboard. Okay. Now, the hows and the whats are more easy to identify. How, you have first-hand experience in the finance world. You know what doesn't strike this why. So through empathetic and personal selection, you have this native ability to select and to actually revolutionize the status quo. And the how and the what, it's Quadra. So these are more simple. But the thing is, we don't know how to say why, because this is actually connected to psychology. I'll say this because you probably haven't heard this before. We have two brains, the new brain and the old brain. The new brain is the neocortex, that's what it's called in psychology, and it knows rational stuff, logics, ration, all that kind of stuff. Very analytical thinking. Also, language is located in this section because language evolved 10,000 years ago when we evolved as human beings. On the other hand, we have the old brain or the limbic brain. This is what people also call the reptilian brain. This is where the instinct and emotion comes from. but it doesn't know how to speak. That's the
I'm actually
neocortex.
reading a book now that calls it the croc brain, the crocodile
Really?
brain.
Yeah, it's because that's where it evolved first. It's the very
Exactly.
lowest level of that. So then, if we harness the power of language to serve the old brain, we can pull out the why. And this is what people try to do, but they normally don't achieve that. Why? Because the old brain doesn't know how to speak. So we rationalize it with the part that knows how to rationalize stuff very well. So if you ask me, "Oh, Michael, why did you buy Apple?" "Oh, because I love the designs and the tech works good. The design is wonderful." But I wouldn't be able to tell you the exact why unless I understand it myself and I went to training, which is that they like to think differently in a way through what I do. So you find my why in what I do. And that's why I resonate with this company because I resonate with their why. I literally buy why they do it, but I hide it behind the what. But we're talking about fintech, we're talking about finance. This implies regulation. How do you stay true to your wonderful vision without, losing a license, for an example? Because that wouldn't be too nice.
This is a very interesting question, right? What I see is this, right? First, we are a technology layer that sits atop of the financial world, especially with regards to digital assets. So there, you already have a lot of gray areas at the moment, right? Because the regulatory environment in crypto is still evolving, is still maturing. It's a brand new asset class, right? So Bitcoin, for instance. So this is something that is very important and yet a major source of uncertainty still in the market, despite all the strides and the progress that we've made. So for us, what's really, really important is how do we empower our partners to be compliant or to be ready to be compliant when these new regulations come into practice. And I can give you an example, right? In the European Union, there is MiCA, right? That is the regulatory framework for firms dealing with digital assets. And then you have requirements where you need to show best execution. For the firms to show best execution, they need to have ways to demonstrate to the regulators that they are placing orders the right way, that they have a framework that they follow, a workflow that they follow. All of those things are those things are not the things that will set their firms apart, but by using a company like mine, Quadra, we can provide all of these things for them instantly without any headaches, right? I'm adding value to them. So this is what we do. So we always think when we are developing everything that we are, how are we going to help the firms that are working with us? Just to re-emphasize, Quadra caters mostly for institutional clients. So those guys are the guys that are very concerned about their licenses, markets that they are operating to ensure that they are compliant. And what we do as a technology provider is to remove that headache away from them and to say, like, the moment that you are executing your trades using our algos for execution, you don't need to worry about anything because we can show to you all of the information that you require and you can easily inform the regulator. So this is one example of how we envision and how we do these things.
Wonderful. That's actually a good thing. And I'm sure there's a lot of traders watching this right now. So for all of those that are interested, depending where you're watching this from, there's either the description on YouTube, info box on Apple Podcast, or the equivalent on Spotify. You'll have Pedro's LinkedIn and their website to connect and explore collaborations further. Talking about regulations leads to another thing. A lot of, fintechs are raising money. And I assume you also raised money at some point. Am
Yeah,
I
I'm
right?
still raising money.
You're still
As a
raising
startup,
money.
you are always going from one round to the next.
Just for curiosity purposes, are you a Series A, Series B? Where you at?
No, so what we did was a pre-seed round,
Okay.
and now we are finally going for the seed round, right? For me, as the CEO, part of my job is to do everything that people associate with a job of a CEO, is to give the company a purpose, a mission, to deal with the operational side of the business, to have a vision about the product, right? Product,
Right.
right? How do I add value? For me, this is the very, very exciting part.
I can see
And then
that.
there is also the element of I need to raise capital. I need to talk to my investors. I need to sell this vision, not only to my employees, not only to prospective clients, clients, but now I need to sell this vision to VCs and investors. And that for me is probably the most challenging aspect of my day-to-day job, because not always you are aligned in your incentives when you are raising money. But at the same time, it's part of the job. I think that is when you are lucky enough to find the right investor, the right VC, I think that then, magical things tend to happen. All right. So yeah.
Right. Let me ask you this then. You're raising money. Do you think investors can tell when a fintech company stands for something when, for example, they have their why and they're not just trying, okay, I put numbers, yes. I put pro forma, yes. Do I have a business plan? Yes. Do you think they only look for that checklist, or do you think they're actually looking also for that purpose?
I think if you are not a very good VC, you are probably just following the algo that they set to themselves, and they are looking for those numbers, and they will dismiss many opportunities because it doesn't meet that initial hurdle rate. Now, curious enough, if you hear to Sam Altman recently was speaking on a podcast, and I was listening to him, and then he was telling us about the time that he was in the Y Combinator and how he made decisions to invest on firms in 15 minutes. And the one thing that he always talks about is when he talks to a founder and he perceives that the founder has a sense of purpose, has a mission, the founder has grit. He does say the single one factor of success that I can always say, like, you could have the best team, the best technical team, the best product idea. If that company doesn't have grit, if the founders don't have grit, in the first problem that they encounter, they're gonna fold. Whereas if you have a company that may not have yet figured out everything, but they have a good vision and they have grit and they have perseverance, those are the guys that you are certain to make a return on. You invest on the people when you are investing on a startup, especially if it's seed, pre-seed, it has to be, right? An early stage.
Exactly.
You need to invest on the people. Now, curiously enough, can I tell you a story? Can I give an example? Recently approached by a VC.
Wonderful.
Someone connected me to a VC in the United States. I hadn't gone to them. It was a connection through one of my investors, and they asked us, all right, before you can even speak to them, they asked you to send the pitch with all the information,
Yeah.
right? I said, oh, okay. For me, it's weird because for me, the very first thing that I want to do is to talk to someone to get a sense, am I wasting my time or not? So instead of spending 15 minutes reading a pitch with financial projections, I would rather spend 15 minutes talking to the founder and immediately know if it's something that I want to pursue or not. But anyways, they asked for this pitch. And it was a pitch that was something that we used to deliver as a presentation. So what I did to make this, to have a better follow-through sense when they were reading, was that I've sent an annotated deck intentionally, right? So he could see the art, the projections, and he could get some of my storytelling, and he would understand how you go from one projection to the other, from one slide to the other, from one assumption to the other. And that was done intentionally. And it was actually communicated as such. And then I got an immediate feedback. I opened this and immediately saw these annotations. This is very amateurish. People who do this, clearly you made a mistake. You weren't supposed to send me the annotation. He assumed that I had put the annotations there by error, that I sent the wrong slides. I hadn't. And
Yeah.
before I couldn't even say, he said, no, I did on purpose. It was not worthwhile anymore for me to do this. Because in the feedback that he gave, he said, if you don't have the attention to detail to ensure that you're sending me the right deck, you probably don't have attention to detail to build a product. So I thought that was pretty absurd. And then immediately it hit one of the things that I judge to be very, very important in the people that I surround myself with. And I have a major rule, this for employees, for VCs, for any clients.
Anyone.
No
Collaborators,
assholes.
everything.
No assholes rule. And
Yeah.
anybody that dismiss a chat with me, or he didn't even check my product, based on an assumption, a misunderstanding, and has that kind of reaction, clearly you are not the right partner for my company. So this is an example of the kind of stuff that you need to do. You need to value yourself. And if you are listeners, if you have founders and you are desperately trying to raise money, above all, you should value yourself and value the vision that you have. And not all of these VCs are going to see this, and not all of them are going to value this the same way that you do. But you give yourself the value first. And when you do that, you are probably going to end up surrounding yourself with the right people, right? And this should apply to everyone around you.
Right. I agree 100%. And that also goes in line with my story, where this VC friend of mine, I spoke to him like 2 weeks ago or something. I asked him, give me a story so I can tell it on the podcasts. And he said, yeah, well, I had this guy who wanted to build something like Revolut, but you could actually pay with the cryptocurrency with the card. So you can use crypto in your day-to-day life. It's a good idea. I personally don't have crypto, but people have that. Okay.
You absolutely need to change that.
You inspire me, I inspire you. Of course. And he said that, okay, fine. He saw the pitch, like you said, the pro forma, balance sheets, everything was looking good. The projections were sensible. The numbers were good. He got the pitch. Also, I don't think there were annotations in the pitch that he got. But he saw exactly that, of course, everything was checking the boxes, but he didn't see a sense of purpose. He just saw a product. And he said that he will not invest into this product because there was a lack of vision. Because like you said, I have a product and it could be the best product. I could have the next OpenAI, the next Apple. If I don't have a vision and I don't believe in it, the second my first customer says no, I'll drop it because it's not a good one. I need to believe in it myself. And if I don't believe what I'm doing, then I'm doing something wrong. And that's what this VC friend of mine told me. There's also another story from Simon Squibb, if you've heard about him. Have you read this book?
No.
Okay, I won't spoil it then. I won't spoil. I'll just tell you the story. There was a story about this chef who got investment for his restaurant, but everything flopped. Do you know why? You'll never guess
Tell
why.
me.
Because he was out taking pictures of birds instead of being in the kitchen. He wanted to be an ornithologist. That was his dream, not opening up a restaurant. Though he had all the certifications, diplomas, yeah, he could have been like 3 Michelin star chef, but he loved watching birds. So it's very important that you have a purpose and your dream and what you want to do in life is aligned with that. But okay.
I couldn't agree more to that. 100%.
I love this conversation.
If you're talking, if you have other founders listening, this applies
Yes.
to your co-founders, the people working
Yeah.
with you. If you are surrounding yourself with people that don't actually have this sense of a mission of building something or a purpose or passion for what they are doing, invariably you are going to have a problem with these people in the future, right? So it's not only the main person on the company. Every single person needs to believe in the plan. Every single person needs to have the same sense of purpose. Every single employee, every single founder, every single one of them. And if that doesn't exist, you are absolutely not going to be successful. You may achieve success for some time, but that's not going to be sustainable unless you can turn this around and have that unified front.
Of course, I couldn't agree more. Talking about that, back when you started out, the very first weeks, maybe months, how did your purpose help you stay focused and overcome these challenges? Maybe not the right co-founders, the people telling you a bunch of no's. In a brief answer, how did that help you?
When you have this sense of purpose, you have something that other people don't necessarily have, right? You know that there will be hardship. You know that there will be ups and downs. You know that you're going to have struggles. And when you do have purpose, when you are like, I don't know how I'm going to succeed. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this situation right now. But when you have purpose, you figure a way out because there is no other alternative. You don't have a choice. Failure is not a choice. You have to make it happen. Now, when you don't have purpose, the very first moments that you have some problem, that you have an issue, you try to cash in your chips and get out of the thing. Let me go find a job. Let me get out of this. And you give up, right? At the end of the day, you're giving up because you've never had the purpose. You've never felt that you had something to prove. And this is what I strongly believe. So for me, failure is not an option, right? I'm going to die trying literally until I make something. And this for me is the most important thing.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Okay. Imagine this AirPods case, which I have here. Told you I'm an Apple fan. This is not sponsored, by the way. This is the power of purpose, actually.
After this, you may get a sponsorship. I don't know.
God bless. But yes, imagine this is a magic wand, right? And if I wave it like this, anything concerning your business you could change and it would be changed automatically. What would that be? This is my favorite question of the episode.
What would I change about my
I
business?
see it's your favorite question also.
I think, as any business, you have people that are part of this business. And I'm lucky enough to have a great number of people working with me that believe in something greater than themselves, right? We have a sense of purpose and a common sense of purpose. If I could do one thing, I would be like, if it was a magic power that every single person I ever hire, every single person that I ever interact with fit this mold. People that have agency, people that come in on boards and they wear the t-shirts of the company, right? Steve Jobs, you like Apple. I love Steve Jobs. I think that he was phenomenal. He talked lengthy about this, right? So what is the point of hiring very smart people if you need to manage them, if you need to micromanage them? I think that was the right. If you bring
Yeah.
someone on board and you instill that vision, and the vision changes sometimes, but you instill that vision, that culture, and then these people, they start flying by themselves. They start innovating by themselves. They start producing. They complement your vision. They improve your vision. They transform your vision for the best. So for me, if it was a magic thing that I could do, it's like I want every single person I ever interact with in my journey to fit this kind of modes. And I know that's hard because not everybody's like this. You are going to, as you are scaling, as you are growing as a business, we are a company with about 15 people working for us, involved in the company. We expect to be about 30 to 35 by the end of next year. So it's always hard. You are expanding, you are doubling your workforce. Am I going to be able to find software engineers, commercial people that all believe in this? Very likely not everybody, but I'm going to be trying. And if I had a magic power, that would be the magic power.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it's just an AirPods case at the end of the day. But yeah, okay. About your legacy, Pedro. Let's say years from now, people are talking about you in the industry. What do you hope they say? But I'm not talking about slogans or, think different. Just what matters.
This is a very interesting question. I'll give you an example. I have a grandfather that passed away before I was born. I've never met him. He hasn't even been part of anything in my life. But curiously enough, he left a legacy behind him that transcended even the lack of my own relationship with or the troubles that I have with my own family, for instance, for example. And even I look up to what he has accomplished and the legacy that he left. And then I think to myself, if I can do this, right, through my life, and I achieved something where my kids are going to be proud of the father that they had, to the point that they will constantly talk about their father to their own kids. And then their grandkids will be talking about this person. For me, that's legacy, right? And that has nothing to do with money, not necessarily that. It has to do with what you've done with your life, how you went from A to B, how you transformed that, and how you projected that to your family, how you transformed the lives of generations to come by setting the example, by being a role model. So that is the legacy that I want to leave behind.
That's a strong legacy, Pedro. Pedro, I'm here to ask you something. Do you know anything about the celery test?
I've read about it very briefly at some point, but yes, I think I do a little bit. I have a little bit of an understanding.
Okay, this podcast is episodic, so just to benefit our viewers who did not check the last podcasts. Celery test is named after the following thing. If I'm a health guru, right, and I'm into getting you healthy, what do you think I'll offer you? Will I offer you a piece of celery or will I offer you some unhealthy junk food? I think salary, right?
Salary.
So the salary test looks at the actions and how we present ourselves outwardly to see if our mission is in tune with that. So would you be down to do that just right now on the podcast?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay, so what we're looking at is very nicely. It goes into the line of trading, but your why is about status quo, and this reminds me a lot of Binance. So what I would try to do is to make it more in tune with you personally. That's the first thing that I'm seeing when I open this up. But let's read the copywriting. By the way, this gradient thing I really like. It's people don't do gradients in fintech so much, so this is a very big plus here. I really like that. Sales solution designed for institutional investors. I like that you put the target audience here, and you have exactly your target here, and you have empowering institutional trading in digital assets. This is good. It hints to your why. I would make it a little bit more to the point so that people
Sure.
understand your mission. Another thing. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is a people don't do this in fintech at all. This animation, you are wonderful doing this. Okay, so what we have professional crypto platform designed by traders for wonderful set here. Love this. Innovative solutions for digital. Okay, then you talk about what this is really. So that's a good thing. You start with reason and a little bit purpose, and you get my attention here. So that's a good thing. I'm not sure if you see when I'm highlighting stuff, do you?
I do. Yes.
Okay, good. Let's scroll down. Design that amp. Okay.
I
You
hope this is
are
positive. I hope your reaction is being positive
no,
so
these
far.
are trust me, if it were bad, if you wouldn't see me moving around if it were bad, I would actually give you feedback to improve it. Design that matters. This reminds me of what I did. Reveal what matters. That's my tagline. Our interface is purpose-built to provide a seamless experience. I would actually love to take a look at your interface now that we're talking
At some
about it.
point, let's schedule a demo.
We could. Easy to connect, seamlessly integrate with your preferred exchanges while collaborating with your selected custodians and prime brokers. You're talking about what's now, that's okay. Prime brokers. Okay, you're just highlighting everything. Yeah, coming soon. Oh, okay. Portfolio risk management. Okay, so from what I would do, I would talk about your what somewhere, sorry, somewhere around here because you move directly into the what from why. We need to bridge that more smoothly. But that's a mild fix you can easily do. Why Quadra? See, this is talking about, I think this is your how actually, because it's what makes you unique, is our unique selling points. Am I mistaken?
No, I think you're right.
Right,
I
so
think
I
that
would
what
move these.
we wanted to show before is likely above were some of the functionalities or some of the features or tools that we were trying to provide to our clients. And then we go, why should they use Quadra? And that was the idea, at least when we were building this website.
I understand. That's not a problem. What I would do, I would maybe reframe this in a different way and move it up the landing page because you know that you already are doing a good thing with getting the attention of people with the animations and everything. A proper and natural progression is why, how, what. And I can if you want after the podcast we can discuss a little bit
That's
more if
absolutely a
you
good
want.
point. Thank you.
So clients, buy side, sell side. I like this. You're making everything very clear, and clarity is not something we see easily in fintech today. Everybody is copying everybody, so that's a good thing. Partners, that's a good. Is this intentional, by the way, that
Yes,
it goes behind? Okay.
it was. Yes.
No, I like it, but I'm asking you if sometimes people do it by mistake. I like this whole card animation thing. It's a good thing. I really like it. Recognized by, okay, this gives you credibility. These are testimonials. That's a good thing. Quadra plus trading view. Maybe I'll put this first and then look at the testimonials because then you're linking yourself to another peer reviewed and
Perfect.
checked platform. I'm for the lack of better words, I've slept 5 hours tonight. Join the future of okay, this is a good thing. I like this. Okay. So yeah, this is a good landing page. One thing which bothers me a bit, and I would say I would make it more obvious, is I would add your story on the landing page because people buy why you do stuff, and your story is key to that. I'm a sucker for storytelling, and I assume you are one as well. So I wouldn't make it so hard for people to get to my story because chances I'll get at my about us after I have solutions, clients, and about. It's not so big.
It's a very fair point, and I think that we need to work a little bit on how we are doing there. I think we were very economical with our story there.
You are, but awards and recognitions, this is a good thing because it anchors you. And who is behind Quadra? People buy, okay, one thing I would do is put more emphasis on the humans. This black and white thing, while it's very sleek, it's not a nice color to have. It doesn't bring attention to you. And I have to, oh, you have this. Okay. I guess it's okay. But I would actually not have it because my attention goes onto the orange, not onto you. And people want
Makes
to see
sense.
people, right? Okay, these are, I wouldn't put this on our stories. I'd put this on another section, maybe careers.quadra.trade. It shouldn't be here. But other than that, now see how your registration page looks like. That's the final thing I'll look at for today. Okay, I would change this picture because it's unconnected to anything that you've shown so far. Fonts are okay. This is okay. It's okay. Let me look again. Yeah.
I
Actually,
think
no.
if you press trades, I wonder if the picture is different.
Something's covering up the button here. Trade.
Yeah. All right. Okay. There you go. There
It's
is another
this.
picture.
Yeah, it's another picture. You're going with this abstract theme. I would actually stick with it because I don't get exactly what this image is trying to tell me, and I can tell it's AI generated. So
Correct.
depending if that's what you want to go for, and change this gray right here because it's not the same as we've seen here. So that's an inconsistency. So that's the feedback I have for you today, Pedro,
Appreciate that.
regarding the
Thank you.
website. Would you like to hear my verdict concerning the celery test?
Please do.
Okay, let me put myself back in frame. So, someone I saw, okay, let me give you some context. For me, a good grade for the celery test is a 7. Based on what I saw, you have minor inconsistencies and you make it hard for people to see your story. But I'll give you a 6, so that's a solid grade. Congratulations.
That's good.
It's actually
There is
very
room
well
for
done.
improvement, which is always
There's
good. We can
always room
always
for improvement.
improve.
Look, if
There you go.
if I'm being honest, 7, if you go 7, it's I would say it's sorry about that. It's equal level. It's like you're at the baseline. You are doing what you're supposed to do and you can only go up. Above 7, you're Steve Jobs level. And I really think, Pedro, you have the capacity to do that with proper guidance. I'm really serious about that. I'm not joking.
Thank
But
you.
that will unfortunately have to be the end of our podcast for today. If you have any final questions or any
No,
final
I
remarks for
just
our audience.
appreciate it. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you very much. I hope this serves to perhaps inspire someone that they are thinking about making the jump and do something more meaningful with their lives. And I think that potentially, yeah, they should go for it.
Wonderful. Well, this was Pedro Birmann for you guys and Quadra. Make sure you check them out. They're wonderful people, wonderful company, and really purpose driven. So make sure you check out their trading platform and make them your partner in money making. I've been Michael Phillips for today alongside Pedro Birmann. This was Intentionally FinTech. Make sure you follow us and check out the other episodes to keep up with your favorite emerging or already existing incumbent, maybe, FinTech brands. Have a good one. Take it easy.